All right, so today we're going to be taking a deep dive into a really fascinating piece of content that I think a lot of our listeners will enjoy and really get a lot out of. And that is a YouTube video by influencer Tam Kaur.
Okay.
And it's called How to Conquer Your 20s. And I found this video super interesting, and I know that you have too. So I'm really excited to kind of pick it apart and, see what we can pull out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is one that I think resonates with a lot of people, even if they're not in their 20s anymore, because it's really just about taking control of your life and building a foundation for success.
Absolutely. And Car, she's got this kind of no-nonsense, energetic approach that I really appreciate. So it's a lot of fun to listen to her. She's got some really interesting points to make. So I think our mission for this deep dive is to really distill her key takeaways, right? And figure out how we can actually apply them in our own lives, even if maybe we're not, facing those specific challenges of our 20s anymore.
Right, exactly. Because a lot of this stuff is timeless, and it's about, creating good habits, setting yourself up for success, and just, really taking ownership of your life.
Yeah. So what was your initial reaction when you first watched the video? What stuck out to you?
Well, I think, what really struck me was how Kaur kind of challenges this whole idea that your 20s are supposed to be, the best years of your life.
Yeah.
She kind of saying, hey, it's not necessarily about, partying and having a carefree time. It's about actually laying the groundwork for a really fulfilling future.
I like that it's about building a foundation.
Yeah, a foundation, exactly. And she kind of dives right in with these 9 key habits for success. She calls them like the trifecta.
Oh, yeah, the trifecta: fitness, happiness, and money-making activities, right?
Exactly. And she gives all these like relatable examples, like becoming a pink Pilates princess.
Yeah, I chuckled at that one.
Right. It's like, okay, that's cute, but there's actually like a deeper insight there.
What do you think she means by that?
Well, I think it's not just about the exercise itself, right? It's about finding an activity that you genuinely enjoy. Maybe even something playful that connects you back to, that carefree energy we often associate with childhood.
So it's not just about grinding it out at the gym. It's about finding something that actually nourishes your soul.
Right. And that brings us to her emphasis on non-monetized hobbies. In a world where everything seems to be about the hustle, Kaur reminds us to carve out space for activities that bring pure joy, no strings attached.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I mean, think about it, especially in your 20s. You're trying to figure everything out. You're trying to build a career. You're trying to, establish yourself in the world. There's a lot of potential for burnout there.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's where her advice about taking yourself seriously comes in.
That's an interesting one because it almost seems to contradict the whole, carefree idea.
It does. It's a bit of a paradox, right?
Yeah.
But maybe it's about finding that sweet spot between enjoying the present moment and making choices that set your future self up for success. It's like she's saying, hey, have fun, explore, but don't lose sight of the bigger picture.
Yeah, it's strategic fun.
Right, strategic fun. Exactly.
Hopefully, an eye on the long game.
Exactly. And that's where discipline and routine come in. Not in a restrictive way, but as a framework for building a life that aligns with your goals and values.
Yeah, and I think that includes prioritizing mental health, which Kara, she's very adamant about, that, it's just as important as physical fitness.
Absolutely. And she talks about how a lot of the struggles that people face in their 20s, what she calls the second puberty.
Oh, yeah.
That feeling of being lost, overwhelmed.
Like you're all over the place.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She says that a lot of that stems from, lifestyle changes. Going from an active teenage life, running around playing sports, to, a more sedentary routine sitting at a desk all day.
And it's not just a biological shift. It's often a lack of movement.
Exactly. And that ties into her focus on diet, which isn't about restriction or fad diets. It's about, understanding the science behind food choices, and how they impact your energy, your mood, your overall well-being.
It's about fueling your body and your mind for the journey ahead.
Exactly.
All right, so we've got the foundation of habits.
Right.
Now let's get into Kaur's 6 mindset shifts for growth, because I think this is where things get really interesting. She starts by saying that your 20s are not the best years of your life, but rather a preparation stage. What do you make of that?
I think it's really powerful because it challenges that societal narrative that we're often fed, like, oh, your 20s are supposed to be the best years of your life. You're supposed to be peaking. But Kaur is suggesting that, Maybe it's not about peaking in our 20s. Maybe it's about mastering certain skills and building a strong foundation now so that we can actually have a richer and more fulfilling life later on.
So it's not about having it all figured out right now. It's about setting yourself up for long-term success and happiness.
Exactly. And that leads to her point about finding happiness in the present moment, even while you're working towards your goals. She brings up this concept called arrival fallacy, which I think a lot of us can relate to.
Okay, break that down for us. What is arrival fallacy?
So arrival fallacy is basically this belief that we'll finally be happy when we achieve a certain goal. Whether it's landing our dream job, finding the perfect partner, reaching a specific income level, whatever it is. But Kaur argues that this type of thinking keeps us stuck in this perpetual cycle of chasing, the next big thing. And it prevents us from appreciating the joy in our everyday lives.
So it's about celebrating those small wins and finding moments of fulfillment right now, even while striving for bigger goals.
Right. It's a balance. And it ties into her advice to identify, simple things that bring you joy, whether it's spending time in nature, listening to your favorite music, connecting with loved ones. These little rituals can make a big difference in your overall well-being.
I like that, little rituals, little sparks of joy.
Yeah.
Kaur also talks about the importance of solitude and embracing discomfort. She even shares some personal stories about pushing her own boundaries, like dining alone at restaurants, which I found super relatable. I used to be so self-conscious about eating alone.
It's like you feel like everyone's staring at you.
Exactly. And now it's like one of my favorite things to do.
I know, it's so liberating.
It is. It's like you're in your own little world. You can, savor the food. You can people watch. It's great.
Yeah, and I think those anecdotes are really powerful because they highlight the link between self-reliance and confidence. When you're comfortable with your own company, you're less likely to settle for less in relationships or other areas of your life. You're more likely to set higher standards for yourself.
So it's about challenging yourself, stepping outside that comfort zone.
Exactly. And Carrie even used this analogy of, being stuck in your hometown versus venturing out into the unknown. Experiencing new things, meeting new people.
Yeah, it's a great metaphor for personal growth.
Yeah, that discomfort we feel when we try something new.
Yeah.
That's actually where the magic happens. That's where we learn and evolve.
And she takes it even a step further and says, get uncomfortable as fuck.
Yeah, she doesn't hold back.
Which is a little jarring, but I get what she's saying. It's about pushing past those self-imposed limitations and embracing the messy, unpredictable nature of growth.
Right, and she even ties this to the idea of choosing to be in the 1% who actively create their dream reality rather than the 99% who play it safe and stay stuck in their comfort zones.
So it's about taking ownership of your life and making bold choices.
Exactly.
So we're starting to see a theme here, right? It's about taking control, embracing discomfort, building that inner strength. Now, Kaur also touches on the importance of this concept called lucky girl syndrome, which, to be honest, sounded a bit woo-woo to me at first.
Yeah, it does have a bit of a mystical vibe to it.
But what do you think she's really getting at with that?
Well, I think at its core, it's about believing in yourself and your ability to achieve your dreams. She even talks about how delusional she is in a positive way. Like she visualizes herself, attending the Met Gala and accomplishing all these incredible things.
Yeah.
And it's like she's tapping into this power of visualization. It's about shifting your internal narrative from I can't to why not. Kaur is a firm believer that whatever we admire in others already exists within us. It's just a matter of tapping into that potential and believing in ourselves.
So it's about ditching the self-doubt and embracing a more empowering mindset.
Exactly.
But what about those limiting beliefs that hold us back? Those voices that whisper, you're not good enough or you'll never achieve that. How do we deal with those?
That's where self-awareness and introspection come in. Kaur encourages listeners to, identify those limiting beliefs, challenge their validity, and replace them with more positive affirmations. And she also talks about the importance of, therapy and addressing past traumas that might be fueling those negative thoughts.
Yeah, and she even offers alternative options, like journaling, confiding in trusted friends if therapy isn't accessible. Right now it's about finding healthy ways to process those difficult emotions and work through those limiting beliefs. Exactly.
It's about recognizing that emotional well-being is just as important as physical and financial health. We can't expect to thrive if we're constantly battling inner demons.
Okay, so we've covered habits, mindset shifts, embracing discomfort and the power of belief. I'm sensing a pattern here. Kaur is all about taking ownership and creating your own reality now. Let's dive into her advice on people and relationships because she does not hold back here. She drops this bombshell about getting rid of everyone who doesn't align with your new mindset.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah, that's a bold statement.
It is, but before we jump to conclusions, I think it's important to unpack what she really means by that. Do you think she's literally saying, like, cut everyone out of your life?
I don't think so. I think it's more about being intentional with who you surround yourself with, you know?
Okay, so it's about creating a more supportive circle.
Exactly. Recognizing that the people we spend time with influence our beliefs, our behaviors, and ultimately our outcomes, you know?
So choose your influences wisely.
Exactly.
Okay, but how do we know who to keep and who to maybe create some distance from?
That's where discernment comes in.
Yeah.
You know, Kaur emphasizes the importance of paying attention to how you feel around certain people. You know, do they uplift you, inspire you, challenge you in a positive way, or do they drain your energy, trigger negativity, you know, hold you back from pursuing your goals?
So it's about becoming more aware of the energy exchange in our relationship.
Exactly.
And making choices that align with our overall well-being.
Right, and that might involve setting boundaries, having honest conversations, or even gradually distancing yourself from relationships that no longer serve your growth.
And Kaur, she shares this personal anecdote that really illustrates this point. She switched to the super expensive gym, not because she was obsessed with fitness, but because she wanted to surround herself with successful individuals.
Interesting.
And she even talked about how seeing all those fancy cars in the parking lot was incredibly motivating.
Wow. So it's about immersing yourself in an environment that normalizes success.
Yeah.
And inspires you to reach higher.
It's like creating a positive feedback loop. You surround yourself with people who are living the life you aspire to, and that in turn fuels your own motivation and belief in yourself.
Right. And it ties back to this idea of mindset contagion. You know, the people we spend time with, their beliefs, their attitudes, their habits, they rub off on us whether we realize it or not.
Okay, so choosing our influences wisely is a big one. But what about those people who bring negativity into our lives? Those who have wronged us or caused us pain? Kara has some strong opinions here, too.
She advocates for rising above pettiness and drama, focusing our energy on our own growth and letting go of the need for revenge.
Okay.
Her mantra, karma will get them.
Wow, that's a powerful perspective.
It is.
So it's about trusting that justice will prevail in its own way and choosing to detach from the emotional baggage of those negative experiences.
Exactly. It's not about condoning bad behavior, but rather recognizing that holding on to anger and resentment only hurts us in the long run. It's about choosing to release that negativity and focus on creating a more positive and fulfilling future for ourselves.
And finally, Kaur offers a surprisingly positive take on heartbreak. You know, she doesn't shy away from the pain, but she frames it as a potential catalyst for growth.
Yeah, she talks about how each breakup, whether romantic or platonic, has taught her valuable lessons and propelled her forward on her journey. You know.
So it's about reframing those painful experiences as opportunities for learning and transformation.
Right.
Recognizing that endings, while difficult, can also be doorways to something new and better.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about, habits, mindset, relationships. Now let's get into the money stuff, the financial advice, because this is a big part of Kaur's video.
Yeah, she's all about financial empowerment, creating a life of abundance.
Right, and she starts by emphasizing the importance of living below your means, which I think is, it's kind of a fundamental principle for anyone who wants to achieve financial freedom.
Yeah, it's not about, depriving yourself or being cheap. It's just about being more intentional with your spending.
Right, and she talks about avoiding impulse purchases, trendy items that lose their value quickly. It's about making your money work for you, not the other way around.
Exactly. And she encourages listeners to prioritize, experiences and investments that will pay off in the long run. Things like travel, education, starting a business.
Yeah.
It's about shifting your mindset from, consumerism to investing in your future self.
And she even suggests living with your parents for as long as you can, which I know isn't feasible for everyone.
Yeah.
But if it's an option,
right,
it can be a game changer for your finances.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It allows you to save a significant amount of money that can then be used for, investing, paying off debt, or even traveling the world.
Right. So it's about that delayed gratification,
Yeah.
making short-term sacrifices for long-term gains.
Exactly.
But she also emphasizes the importance of enjoying the journey, right? It's
Yes.
not just about, saving every penny and living like a monk.
Right. It's about finding that balance, between being responsible with your finances and still allowing yourself to, enjoy life's pleasures.
Yeah.
Kaur's a big believer in creating a life you love, and that includes, indulging in things that bring you joy.
Okay, so speaking of creating a life you love, Kaur is a huge advocate for building passive income streams, and she uses this example of those YouTube videos of fireplaces
Oh, yeah.
that people put on in the background, which sounds a bit random,
Right.
but it's actually a brilliant illustration of her point.
It is. It highlights this key insight that, identifying underserved needs, even seemingly simple ones, can be surprisingly lucrative.
Yeah.
It's about, looking beyond traditional career paths
Yeah.
and tapping into the power of the digital landscape.
Right. So get creative.
Yeah.
Find ways to generate income without trading your time for money directly.
Exactly. Whether it's through, affiliate marketing, creating online courses, or yes, even filming fireplaces.
Now she also has this bold advice to burn the boats, which is essentially advocating for going all in on your passion, even if it means taking a risk and eliminating your backup plan.
Right.
Now, this is where things get a little tricky, because while it's an inspiring message, is it always wise to burn the boats? What about those who have, responsibilities, financial obligations?
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
While Kaur's own story is a testament to the power of taking risks and following your dreams, for some people, a more gradual transition might be more realistic and responsible.
So it's about assessing your own situation,
Yeah.
weighing the risks and rewards, and making a decision that aligns with your personal circumstances and goals.
Exactly. It's about being strategic and calculated, even when pursuing your passions.
Okay, so let's get into some of Kaur's more specific financial tips. She talks a lot about the importance of having multiple bank accounts, which
Yeah.
I found intriguing.
Yeah, this is a great strategy for managing your money effectively. She recommends having a checking account for daily expenses, a separate savings account where you can stash away money for future goals, and a dedicated travel fund
Oh, I like that.
where you automatically deposit a set amount each month.
Yeah, it's like paying yourself first,
Exactly.
but for travel for fun.
Exactly.
She's also a big advocate for ISAs,
Yes.
which I have to admit I'm not super familiar with. Can you break those down for us?
Sure. So ISAs, or individual savings accounts, are essentially tax-efficient savings accounts where you can invest up to a certain amount each year, and any gains you make are tax-free.
Okay.
It's a fantastic way to grow your wealth over time without having to worry about, the tax man taking a big chunk of your profits.
So it's like a supercharged savings account
Yeah,
with some nice tax benefits.
exactly.
I'm definitely going to have to look into that.
I highly recommend it.
Now, Kaur also stresses the importance of investing in knowledge, whether through books, online courses, even just spending time researching different topics.
She even suggests budgeting for these resources. Cutting back on unnecessary expenses to invest in your financial education.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to finances.
Yeah. So what about those who haven't found their passion or, don't know what they want to do for work? Does Kaur have any advice for them?
She does. She suggests
Yeah.
making your dream lifestyle your passion.
Okay.
It's about identifying the life you want to create and then working backwards to figure out how to achieve it.
So it's not necessarily about finding a specific career path,
Right.
but more about designing a life that brings you joy and fulfillment,
Exactly.
and then figuring out the logistics of how to make that happen.
Right. Kaur encourages listeners to, get crystal clear on their goals, create a vision board, and then reverse engineer a plan to achieve that desired future state.
I love how action-oriented she is.
Yeah.
It's not just about dreaming. It's about taking concrete steps to make those dreams a reality. Exactly. And this leads us perfectly into Kaur's homework chapter, where she lays out 8 actionable steps viewers can take to start implementing these powerful ideas into their own lives.
Okay, I'm ready for the challenge. What's first on the list?
So the first step is a SWOT analysis, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats.
Okay.
It's about taking a hard look at yourself and your current situation so you can develop a strategy for personal growth.
So it's like taking inventory of your life, figuring out what you're good at, where you need to improve, and what opportunities are available to you.
Exactly. And the second step is getting serious about budgeting.
Okay.
Kaur recommends using an app like Snoop to track your spending and gain a clearer picture of your financial habits.
Okay, so it's all about that data-driven approach,
Yeah.
even when it comes to personal finances.
Exactly.
They're going to check that out. It's amazing how technology can help us gain more awareness and control over our spending patterns.
It is.
What else is on the list?
So she also stresses the importance of setting up a savings account and a travel fund, if that's something you're passionate about. And then there's this podcast she recommends called Huberman Lab,
Okay,
which
cool.
covers a wide range of topics related to health, well-being, and personal development. Kaur credits this podcast with completely changing her perspective on things like diet, exercise, and sleep.
I'm adding that to my list right now.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, so we've got the SWOT analysis, budgeting, savings, travel fund, and the Huberman Lab podcast. What's next?
So she also recommends downloading a habit tracking app to help you stay consistent with those daily actions that contribute to your overall well-being.
Yeah, it's about making those healthy habits automatic, almost like brushing your teeth or taking a shower.
Exactly. You don't even have to think about it. You just do it.
And to help solidify your goals, Kaur suggests getting a gym membership and creating a vision board.
Yes.
It's about making those dreams tangible and reminding yourself of what you're working towards.
Exactly.
But she doesn't stop there.
No.
What else does she have for us?
So she also emphasizes the power of journaling, specifically writing a letter to your future self about where you want to be in 1, 5, and 10 years. She even mentions how reading those letters from her past boosted her confidence and reinforced her belief in her ability to achieve her dreams.
It's like creating a time capsule of your aspirations.
Yeah.
A tangible reminder of how far you've come and how much you're capable of achieving.
Exactly. And finally, Kaur encourages listeners to check out her other YouTube videos, which cover a wide range of topics like setting boundaries, manifesting your desires, and cultivating a success mindset.
So she's created this whole ecosystem of resources to help people level up their lives.
She has, and I think that speaks to her overall message of empowerment and community. She's not just preaching from a pedestal. She's creating a space where people can connect, support each other, and grow together.
So we've really gone in depth with Tam Kaur and gotten so much valuable advice from her video, How to Conquer Your 20s, from, those foundational habits and mindset shifts to really practical stuff about managing money and even the importance of surrounding yourself with the right people.
Yeah, it's been great to break it all down. And I think what really stands out to me is just how much Kaur emphasizes our own power to create change.
Yeah.
To shape our reality.
Absolutely. It's like that thread of empowerment runs through the whole video.
Exactly. And it's not just some abstract concept. She actually embodies it, right? She went from feeling lost and unfulfilled to building a successful business and a life that she loves.
And she's really transparent about the challenges,
right?
Which I think makes her message even more powerful because it's like, okay, this isn't just some, guru up on a mountaintop telling us how to live our lives.
Yeah, it feels attainable.
Right. It's like she's been there, she's struggled, she's figured things out, and she's sharing what she's learned.
And it's not about having all the answers. Right? It's about that willingness to experiment, to try new things, to embrace the journey.
Yeah, and to learn from those experiences, both the successes and the setbacks.
Absolutely. And I think that's what makes her homework assignments so effective.
Yeah.
They're not just, theoretical concepts. They're like actual tools, that we can use to start taking action.
Right. Like it's one thing to talk about the importance of habits or mindset, but it's another thing to actually put it into practice. And she gives us those concrete steps, like, the SWOT analysis, the budgeting tips, the habit tracking app, the vision board.
Right. And it's all about taking those big ideas and breaking them down into manageable steps.
Yeah, bite-sized pieces that we can actually digest and implement.
Exactly. And she doesn't neglect the inner work either. The journaling, writing those letters to your future self, addressing those limiting beliefs.
It's like that's the foundation, right?
Yeah, the inner.
If we're not aligned internally, if we're still, battling those inner critics, it's going to be that much harder to create lasting change in our lives.
And I think that's something we can all benefit from regardless of our age.
Yeah.
We all have those voices in our heads, the doubts, the fears, the what ifs.
Yeah.
It's about learning to manage those voices,
Yeah.
To cultivate a more supportive and empowering inner dialogue.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Tam Kaur's wisdom, what's the one message that you hope our listeners take away from this episode?
I think it's the power of proactivity, being intentional about designing the life you want.
It's not just about, letting life happen to you. It's about making conscious choices.
Exactly. And taking action. Even small steps can make a big difference over time.
So to our listener, what's one action you can take right now, today, that will move you closer to that vision?
Maybe it's downloading that habit tracking app or, finally starting that side hustle you've been thinking about.
Or even just taking 5 minutes to write down your goals.
Whatever it is, embrace that power you have to create change.
Your 20s or any decade really can be a time of incredible growth, exploration, and transformation.
Yeah, so embrace the challenges, celebrate the wins, and never stop learning and evolving.
Absolutely. And remember, you are capable of achieving anything you set your mind to.
Believe in yourself, trust the process, and keep diving deep.